Hey there. This is Al, and this video will be part of the reference section, I suppose. Um, I want to go through this UTF thing, but in the meantime, I've just been a bit of a mystery has come up. It's quite interesting that the mystery has an unusual solution. And this sort of goes back to the Zen and the art of Windows 7 kind of world. I ran this program, and this program see, I'm trying to test that. I made some fixes to my is valid path, and I'm trying to go through all the possible ones that should or shouldn't be valid based on. I'm only going up to 3 characters, and the rest is. If I can get the first 3 characters right, then the rest should follow. If I've gotten it right. But the weird thing is, I can talk about this later. I run this program called UTest. It's in debug. I didn't want to deal with underscore T at the moment. I just want to print it out. I run UTest. Okay. Now I got the 2 cases where I'm allowing wildcards or not allowing wildcards, and I want to see them side by side. Well, that's probably it. See that there? There's a little thing there that shouldn't be there. What is that? The second one. Oh, X5. But still, who cares? So what I did was UTest into click, right? And then notepad, paste. Now, okay, that's a funny looking character. It's true, it's a funny looking character. But if I save it, in fact, I went save as in here, delete me.text. I'll do it again and see, right? Okay. I'll go to my doc. That was in docs. Now I have a batch file called do, which all that does is if it sends, it uses another program I wrote to send keystrokes to a program in order to avoid this. I'd like to open that file, but whatever I do, it puts me here, right? Now I gotta click here. Okay, now let's see BP. Okay, right. Now I gotta go to docs, which it doesn't even work here. I'll try to open it. And it brings up Notepad. Well, actually, I can have that whole thing occur by just doing this. And so that saves me all those steps of navigating the directory. Because even though I just opened that from there, it doesn't know where, I'm back at UTest again. Now, the question is, why did it bring up Notepad? And I'm sure it must have to do with that invalid character. Well, it's not an invalid character, but it should be a 5, wherever it was. Where does it start? Pattern equals colon, the second one. Pattern equals valid equals false, pattern equals 5. There it is, 5, right? Quote, 5, quote. So, whatever, okay. It's a single character. Every single character is correct, right? There's nothing to think about. It should just open it and take that as a 5. Now, what's strange is that if I do that, it can't open it because of this 5, apparently. Oops, I can actually use this. But if I save this, look how Notepad knows where to save it. And the directory was open to UTF-8. Sure, I'll replace it. Try the same thing. No problem. Now it's the same editor, and the same characters and everything. Same, it's a different code page, so instead of a flower, I get a bar, but whatever. And now, so I guess that mystery is solved. What I wanted to do, the reason I wanted it in here was so that I could use the column editing and put these side by side and compare wilds and no wild. Now 5 character is always invalid. Everything up to 20 non-inclusive is an invalid path character. So these should all be false. These should be valid, and that they are. Question mark is false if we're not allowing wildcards, but it's valid if we are. Same with star. Dot should be valid. Dot is like a dir dot. So that was a valid specifier for the directory command, so that's a valid path specifier. Should be valid in both cases. Just a single letter is fine. This should be in colon, should never appear first. And that's correct. Now what happens if I say that? Invalid. Okay? Invalid. Right? You can't just put a colon first. So false, false. These are redirectors, so not allowed. This is an invalid character, so it should be invalid. It's generally invalid because no path names aren't allowed to have anything up to 20. So here's the function. You'd think this would be an easy thing. Oh yeah. Well, that's 11. Okay. Invalid path string. Alright, if it's blank or if it starts with a colon, then it's definitely invalid. If it's with single length, then if we're allowing wild cards, if it's a wild card, then it's valid only if we're allowing wild cards. So that takes care of wild cards. Otherwise, it has to be bigger than or equal to 20, and the character itself can't be any one of these. Right. Actually, I've already tested for this code. In that case, that's true in general. Anyway, that's fine. Just test it again. So that takes care of a single character, I think. Here's my comment. I should be resorting to split path, but actually I don't think split. Here, this function called split path I grabbed this directly out of the Microsoft implementation, out of their CRT thing, because I wanted to use my strings rather than they have pointers, and I want to use pointers as well, but not to raw strings, but instead to these things. And this is their algorithm for splitting a path. And it's quite an interesting little walk through this algorithm. This max drive, it's always 3. And what this 3 stands for is it's 2 characters plus a 0. They say explicitly that all these sizes include the 0 terminator. Okay, so the drive component is a 2-character thing. It can be like A:, B:, or something like that, right? Now what they have is a loop from 0 up to max drive minus 2. You could just say, 1. That's a loop that loops a single time, but I guess they're thinking maybe in the future the drive letter will change from a letter to a name or something, right? But still, I don't know if this logic would be correct. It would depend on how they define them. If they wanted to go to the multi-character drive specifier followed by a colon, the assumption here is that it's a fixed length. So either it's a single letter, or it's 2 letters, or 3 letters, and no in between. And so they loop this single time and check to see if there's a colon anywhere up to max drive minus 2, which is equal to 1. So all this says is the first this amounts to first character is not equal to colon. So I know that that's and then it returns false or something in their version. So I know that that's part of the spec. No colons first. Now, here we've got a pointer to characters that is sort of like this is our current position during the parsing. So this thing is always changing. This one, I guess, is fixed. I should put a const here, really. Now this is what I mean by why you might want to put a const. Well, first I have to get the declaration. The reason why I want a const here is because this is like our anchor. This is if we ever want to get back home, this is fixed. Alright. Let's still compile, I hope. If it doesn't, then that would mean that we are changing that. It'll tell us. The const will tell us. Okay. It's telling us. TCS temp path is temp plus 1. Oh, so it's not, it is changing. So they're both changing. Okay, so it's kind of a leapfrog type thing. Alright. Okay, I see. It's an anchor, but it's a moving anchor. We go to the next part of the search, and then our base changes. Break. All right. So anyway, it's still here what it was at the beginning. Now, if we landed on a colon, after this loop of one. So if the second character is a colon, then I'm setting the drive. Now there's no test here that the 0th character is a valid drive specifier. Like you could use a question mark, but I don't think that the dir command would be happy with that. Right? Although it accepts it, it's not invalid. Maybe it is valid to put a star here. Cannot find the path. But maybe it can exist. You know, like you have a drive, and your drive might be called percent, right? I wonder. Okay, let's try it. Subs. Does that work again? Drive, colon, I'm going to call my drive the percent sign, and then some path, this path. Oops, no, different subs. Oh, see now, that's why you got to go through these tests. Now, where is it? I remember. It's definitely there, right? So I was wrong. Now, why is it Explorer not picking it up? I might have to restart Explorer. I can do that. This is what I normally use to fix my keyboard binding. But it's also one way that you can get Explorer to run, to restart. Okay, so that part was wrong. I thought that you could only use letter. It won't list it. Explorer won't list it. It lists these drives that don't even exist. But it can't list it probably just goes from A to Z, like any normal person would do. Start going from A to Z, but the truth of the matter is that it could be any character other than those invalid ones, like angle brackets, colon. Can't be a colon, I don't think. No, it couldn't be. Yeah, that's right. They already checked that. So that's why it's useful to have their implementation, to look at what they think is a valid path. And according to this, well, actually anything except colon is a valid drive letter. Let's see. I don't know if I probably can't use the subs command to do it, but according to their logic, right? The only thing they check for is colon, and that otherwise you're allowed to put anything there. But how much I committed for colons? Well, I go back to where I was. C10. Didn't seem to. like that, a little bar. Well, that just could be because of the piping. I wasn't. I just realized. I just canceled half 90% of this upload. Rewatching, looking for my usual mistakes, which I always find during the upload. It's anything, any character. I was forgetting to put a colon. Look, here's my drive angle bracket. I set it to C temp. Right? That's a drive letter. CD/D. Okay. Phew. Okay. Try another one. Subst. How about star? D. I want to calculate. Looks good to me. Star colon. See what I'm saying? Everything's valid for a drive letter. Everything. That is a drive. I'm going to make an icon of that. I'm going to try and make a big picture of that for the icon for this video. Now I got to just chop out a whole section there where I was saying that certain things weren't allowed here. But apparently, they are. Although, I should note, that's not actually indicated by the implementation of split path. Split path doesn't check for any invalid characters. It only checks for the form in terms of colons and slashes. As far as what other characters can exist, it doesn't make any assumptions, right? That depends on the specifics of the operating system, probably. NT won't allow in a path name these characters, right? Certainly these. I haven't tried that yet. What was the other one? It wouldn't work. I wanted to do a 5. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Windows. No, let's not be too crazy here. Not take too much of a chance. Here's a directory which the system constantly wipes out. So there we go. So you can have a little heart as your home directory, or a little. Sorry, that's a club. You could have a heart too. Let's try heart. Now, what do I love? I love my document. Okay, now I'm going to fix up the let's retry. I don't think you can put the angle bracket thing, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. This allows it. Next step. Now we're extracting the path string. So now we would have advanced by now just past the colon, if there was one. That's where this walking through this function becomes difficult, because the cases are building up as we go along. So it now points to the first character of the path. File name or extension. If no path is specified, scan ahead for the last occurrence, if any, of a slash. If none is found, there is no path. See what this thing returns. Drive, directory, file name, extension. And path, it refers to everything that's not the file name part. So if there may or may not be a path, we're pointing to the first character of the path if there is a path, right? Because then we would have advanced past the colon if there was a colon. Alright, if there was no space, now we're going to scan ahead for the last occurrence of a slash, and we're also going to note the position of the last occurrence of the dot, of any dot found, to help the extension bit. The last dot has to follow the last slash if there is an extension. That's just fact of life. So now we're going to determine these two values. And now temp is, we're now putting into temp path, which now points at the beginning of possibly of a path. Now we're scanning forwards. Forget about multi-byte. That's this other thing that's pre-Unicode stuff that some things might use it still. If we see a slash, then we just note its position. Otherwise, if we see a dot, we note its position. And we keep going through all the way to the end. Okay, so this thing never quits. And it's just taking note of the position every time it finds one or the other of these things. And so therefore, these will hold either the last positions of these slash or dot, or nothing. No. Okay. Now, if temp is equal to 0, if star temp, that means we made it all the way through. Well, shouldn't it be? For this is the condition. Oh, just a reminder. I put that in for myself. Okay. To remind myself that temp here, the thing that we've been relying on for our position, is now beyond pointing at nothing. Now, if we found a last slash, set the dir part to string from last slash plus 1 minus path. Path was path. C has said path. Oh, that's where we started. Okay, that's our beginning. So from the beginning position, if there's a last slash, I see. So if there's a last slash, everything up to that slash has to be a path specified. Get it? Doesn't matter if there's dots in between or whatever. Because there's a slash, there's a path. And so therefore everything from where we were to where we got to, that slash position, is a path, and it's the entirety of the path, because that was the last slash. Okay, advance to next character. And now our path thing here, our anchor, is now pointing one position beyond the last slash. Now we need to extract the file name and extension if there are any. Path now points to first character of the file name, if any, or the extension if there's no file name given. And the pointer last dot points to the beginning of the extension, if any. If we have an extension, we have to determine that. So if there was a last dot, and the last dot was bigger than path, that means bigger than the last slash, you could say that, but beyond the last slash, because we've just assigned these, right? Therefore, that means we have a file name and an extension. And the file name is from where we are, amount of characters up to the dot, and the extension is everything from the last dot to the end. Remember that temp here is pointing at the end of the buffer. You got to keep track of these things as you go along. Now, if you go through and I've gone through this myself, you're going to find that if you go through every other possible case, there's only really aren't 1,000 cases. It's all pretty much covered by this one thing. Remember, there could have been a last dot, but it was within the path part, or there could have been no last dot. Either way, now there might have been no slash either. There may not have been a last slash. So I guess there are more than one. So it's possible we had no last slash. It's possible we had no last dot. Or it's possible we had a last dot, but the last dot was before the last slash. So those three cases, if you go through those three cases, in each and every case, if you start from path, whatever path you ended up pointing at, in fact, it's either going to be one past the last slash, or it's going to will not have changed from its original value. Temp here is still going to be pointing at the end, and from temp to path is a file name. Now, based on that logic, then it's just a matter of no angle brackets and no bars and no colons. And I think I've covered that. I haven't covered possibly these things that are, although they're valid, nobody would ever, in their right mind, ever use it. Well, I might use this as a secret place, a secret place for my secret things that is not visible in Explorer or by any means other than what I just typed. Even subs doesn't show it, and resolve thing won't resolve it. So I don't think it resolve it. It should, but I don't know if it will. I'll stop this here and then I'll use a real reference. This will be an aside. Come on. What did I change in there? Oh, I took that out, yeah. I don't know about that. We should probably leave it. It's better to let it be invalid, even though, well, equals is, yeah, we weren't allowed any of those, actually. I'm going to leave it as it was. But I still want to use all of this. And then we're done. Oh, put S. God damn it. What did I get? I got it. It F10. F10. F6. It worked. See, it resolved it. It took this path and turned it into what it really points to. So the result, so equals is good. Percent works, and other things too. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. Yes, I certainly did. Oh, oops. Pardon the interruption, me interrupting myself. I just cut a bit off the end of this video where I explained that I couldn't show you my new desktop, my new wallpaper, because unfortunately it is of an adult nature. However, I also just now realized that all those pictures of people smoking are, as far as at least the United States is concerned, of an adult nature, and would be considered, if it was in a movie that would require parental guidance or something, or you have to be at least 18 years old to watch, and so on. So therefore, this picture is no more adult than any of the other ones that I've shown you. That's so I can show it to you. I don't know if there's something special I'm supposed to do to flag these videos as requiring the user to press the I am an adult button, as every school child knows how to do. But anyway, here it is. Yeah. So clean it up a bit. Now these are such beautiful pictures that it really would be shameful for me not to see them. I find this one is particularly fascinating to look at. This is not the original. I modified the color slightly to make them more compatible together. One thing you might not notice looking at this, and that someone else I showed this to didn't notice and thought, and that's I think just really a clever tool that the photographer has used in this case. Is that she's behind a piece of glass, or could be plexiglass maybe, and you can see that there's a little insect here on the glass, and these streaks here are not. It makes it look like it's just an old photograph that's been beaten up over time, but no, it's not. It's that the glass is full of scratches and things, and she's behind it, and it's really quite beautiful. And yes, of course, you can see a human breast. Okay, but that's what they look like if you've never seen one before. It's not particularly pornographic or anything, I wouldn't say. It's just a woman sitting behind a piece of glass. She happens to not be wearing anything. And smoking. And the other one I thought was, well, the first one, this one, doesn't fill my entire screen. And I don't want to have two empty sides. So I thought, these two are of a similar nature, these two images. Not as similar as they are now. And so I thought they might go together well. And the more I thought about it, actually, the more the thing about this image, which is really extraordinary, is the look on this girl's face. It's just a really interesting look. It's I tried to describe it, but I still don't have the words that it's not like she's looking down at something or someone, but it looks like she's looking at something through that glass. Yeah. And she's got a kind of all-knowing look. Or a conniving look, maybe. Yeah. And so the more I looked at these two together, the more I thought that she could be looking at her. If she was on the other side of the glass, they might be looking at each other. Because this one is also looking at presumably looking at someone or something. And turned away for some reason. Although it's this one maybe is not choppy enough to fit. I'd like to add some scratches. I'd like to put this one in front of glass too somehow. Maybe I could. I have an idea. My idea, you see, originally these were supposed to be smoke. They still are, could be, I guess. But after I edited this, now these look like a kind of like fabric of a very thin fabric, right? And now then there's these tattoos. And so what I thought is I'd like to extend these fabrics into here and have them woven around both of them. It'll change color, that's okay. I have a way to do it, but it's not. It involves a very steady cutting out of bits of the image in a smooth line. It's very difficult for me to draw. I started doing it, and it will look good. It would look good if only I had a steady hand. It jumps and bumps, but maybe I can fix it up. I'd like to connect them in some way, just as with that one with the I call the creation of Eve, that has one looking up and one looking down, and the smoke intermixes between them. This picture actually stops, I think, here, maybe a little bit further, but there's not much more of this one. So I can't add anything from this picture into this one. But anyway, just really amazing find. Two beautiful ladies smoking cigarettes yet again to add to my collection. I can just show you if you're curious. It's not done, but just the idea of extending that fabric. They're not exactly aligned. Alright, yeah, that's it. See? It's very light. I'm trying to make it as subtle as possible, but it's jagged, right? Also, it's too thick here. And I decided I would like it to bend and just go right around and come back. Maybe come down, or this bottom one maybe could go around and come back and maybe connect. It just look nice. This one on this side, you see how it looks like it's going around, right? Something that's holding her, and if the other one went around this one, then they would be connected, held together by this fabric. Anyway, I'm blabbing, but I'm enjoying my new wallpaper, and I hope you do too. And see you next time. I'll get back to that reference thing, which I botched, and then try again. See you.